Why is sales and marketing important in business? In fact, I want to stop here. My title, why is sales and marketing important in business? Do you feel something wrong in that title? They're backwards. Marketing should always go before sales. And so we're going to talk about that. You built a great product, but not many people are buying it. That's a marketing and sales problem. You could have the best operational and fulfillment system in the world, but if your marketing and sales broken, nobody's going to buy it. By the end of this video, you're going to understand how marketing and sales really determines if your business lives or dies. After I'm filming this video, I'm about to go to probably the nation's largest trade show for home builders. And for the next 3 days, we're going to walk around this show and we're going to meet a lot of different home builders and talk to them and get to know them a little bit. And I can promise you, because we've done this for about 10 years, I can tell you the narrative that we're going to hear on a regular basis. And so it's going to go something like this. Hey, tell me about your business. And so they're going to tell us, and at some point, revenue is going to come out. They're going to go, hey, we do about $5 million a year or $15 million a year or whatever. We're going to go, great, how many employees do you have? And so we'll walk through all the relevant numbers that are there. And in the midst of this conversation, they're going to talk to us about how quality craftsmanship really drives their company, and they're going to talk about product. And then when we get down to it, we're going to go, hey, give us the trajectory of the business. Like, how's it been going? And once they get more comfortable with us, they're going to start to lay out some of the metrics that are there. And what we're going to realize is that these home builders have been trying to market, sell, deliver, and administer all on their own, even if they have a team of people. And they'll use phrases like this: well, I'm trying to do it all, but I have to do it all myself because my people won't do what I ask them to do. And so that comes back to an issue that we've got with delegation and leadership. But really what it comes down to is a marketing and sales problem. See, with home builders, here's usually how it goes. The first thing that they'll let go of is usually the accounting. And then they'll let go of the site superintendent or the actual product. They'll pass that off to a superintendent. Then they'll let go of some high-level marketing, usually digital marketing. They'll pass that off to an agency, pay them a lot of money, not get any results for it, but they'll think they're doing the stuff. And usually the last thing that they'll pass off in terms of delegation is the sales. Why? It's because it's the lifeblood of the business. And so that's how that conversation will go on and on and on with these people that we meet. And what we find is they come to us and they go, yeah, I wish I did have more sales. I wish I did have more leads. And what we tell them is, you don't have a marketing problem. You don't have a sales problem. You really don't have an operational problem or an administrative problem. What you have is you have a process problem. You have not articulated marketing as its own system that is in need of process, and you've not articulated sales as its own system in need of process. And least of all, you've not identified the handoff or the pass-off between those two. And so they're operating in silos, and you're either getting a lot of leads but not converting them, or you're getting no leads and not converting them. And what a lot of people will tell us is this: well, we use word of mouth. And they think that it just sort of magically happens, like the word of mouth rabbit comes in and just starts tapping you on the shoulder and you have clients. Remember AOL back in the day? You've got mail. Well, the reality is that's not how a repetitive, predictable, meaningful business works, and let alone, you're not going to be able to run the business with or without you if you keep following that methodology. So let's really drill down, now that I have your attention, as to the value and the importance of marketing and sales in your business. Your business, if we just boiled the whole thing down and said, hey, what's the point? It's to profitably deliver a service to the customer. Like, if we were to just boil it down, now we could argue back and forth, but the profitably part, that comes not from the delivery, it comes from the marketing and sales. Because if you get the wrong prospect, it's hard to be profitable. If you make the wrong sale, it's hard to be profitable. There are a lot of people that will make the sale, kind of blow the horn, we'll ring the bell, we'll get all excited and realize that when we go to fulfill the sale that we just made, that the sale we made was too low and we're actually going to lose money or break even on that. You've heard of people before taking jobs, closing deals, just so that they can, quote, cash flow the business. That's not the purpose of business. The purpose of business is to be profitable in its delivery of the service to whoever your customer is. And so that job comes not only to the operational function, but to the marketing and the sales function as well. So if we're going to talk about the priority of marketing and sales in business, we need to talk about what their jobs are. Because marketing has a job and sales has a job before we ever get to the product delivery. Let's go backwards. You can't account for anything that you don't fulfill or deliver. You can't fulfill anything that you don't sell, and you can't sell anything that you don't market or tell the world that we're here. You can't sell something to somebody if they don't know you exist. And so if we look at it in reverse, we come back to the beginning and go, what's the start? It's marketing. It's outreach. It's telling the world that we're here, and that is the job of marketing, is to go out and go, hey, we're here. Now, when you think about marketing, probably the easiest, most convenient way to think about this is during tax season. You might be driving down the road, and all of a sudden you see a guy on the side of the road with a sign, and he's breakdancing and spinning the sign, and he's pointing that sign to the local tax office right over there. You know what that is? Marketing. That's not selling. That's just marketing. Hey, we're here. We're over here. The pizza place is over here. The tax place is over here. Whatever your business is over here. And so that's the job of marketing, is to grab the attention of the qualified people. Now, who are the people that are going to see that sign and go into the tax office? It's the people who need that tax service. I don't go in there because I have a CPA, they provide that for me. So although I see the sign, I don't follow it in for the sale. And so marketing's job is to grab our attention and then to create qualified prospects based on the service that we're offering. Now, just because they have my attention, and even I've made the effort to go into the office, something still needs to happen, and that is what we call sales. There's got to be a conversion. There's got to be a commitment. So imagine this. Marketing is when we're dating. Kind of getting to know each other, going out for a drink and having a nice time and whatever. Sales is when we walk down the aisle and we sign a contract. We get married. Well, most people don't sign contracts in marriage, but that's kind of what's happening in the process flow of this business. We're being committed as provider and customer in this relationship. So marketing identifies who can be a customer. Hey, we're here. Sales takes that prospect and turns them into a customer that we can begin to serve. All right, so if we understand how those systems work, there's another video I want to point your attention to, and it's where I dive deep into the 4 core systems of every business: marketing, sales, operations, and administration, in that order. You as a business owner need to understand the skeletal structure, not only of the human body, but of a business. And so we've autopsied business. We've looked in and we've seen what the skeletal structure of a business looks like, and we've articulated it in that video. So go click on that link below, and you can walk through not only marketing, sales, ops, and admin, but also the 4 foundational cornerstones of every business. Now within that, here's what I want you to be careful of. I want you to be careful when you look at your business and go, hey, we got a marketing problem, or we've got a sales problem, or we've got a scheduling problem, or a job costing problem, or whatever. And I want you to step back for a minute and instead say this: we likely have a process problem. And so we now set our sights on marketing, the first system within the business, and we go, what's the process of marketing that we have? Then we look at sales and we go, what's the process of selling that we have? Then before we go to operations, we look between marketing and sales and say, what's the pass-off between those two? Because every system has a pass-off to the next. So if we want to take a prospect and we want to try to sell them, there's got to be a pass-off process between those two. If we want to take a new client and we now want to serve them, there's got to be a pass-off process between those two. And if we want to serve that client and bill them and generate money from them, there's got to be a pass-off process, so we understand that as well. So I want you to think through the systems of the business in the eyes of the customer and go, okay, if I were to see the skeletal structure of what I, the customer, will experience from first to last, what does that seamless process look like? Marketing and sales is the lifeblood of your business. If you do not have process in place for those, and you do not have proper handoff between the two, then you're going to be suffering in the operational and the administrative side, because you're not going to have any clients or any customers. Stop leaning on the magician that just magically brings you clients. Instead, let's turn this into a process. Again, make sure you go click on that link in the description below for that systems video so you can see where these fit, and it will also help you to begin to process each one of these systems. Why? It's because business owners live most of their life in chaos, and our entire aim is to help liberate you from that chaos so that you can make time for the things that matter most.